Hi everyone. In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to unroll surfaces using our scan rock. You can also do this with the rock that you generated through using the jig at the beginning with the faceted. But what we can do with our scan rock is literally reduce it using reduce mesh down to the point where we get maybe 100 different faces or maybe a little bit more. So I have 95,000, just about 100,000 faces on here. So I'm going to just kind of eyeball this a little bit, and let's take it down 75%. We'll see where that takes us. And basically we're kind of looking for triangulated meshes, and we don't want any overlaps within this little tutorial. So looks like it's still thinking a little bit. Almost there. More percent. There we go. So this is still a lot of faces, so let's do it again. Let's bring up the number. We're at 23,000, so let's bring it up to 90. Otherwise we'll be sitting here all day trying to eyeball it. There we go, a little bit faster. There we go. All right, this is still quite a bit of faces, but we're not going to go 90 again. So let's just bring it down 25%, see what that gets us. And we're going to bring it down even more. Let's do 50 again. We want, faces that are about, ½ inch to maybe an inch long. So these are getting pretty wicked. Let's do it one more time. There we go. This looks pretty good. So for this exercise, basically, we're going to copy this over. And let's just copy, and then let's go back one. And let's paste. Let's try to collect our history here a little teeny bit. So you guys should keep just basically moving your stuff over as you go, but that's still a lot. So there we go. So we can kind of see a de-resolution pattern through here. So for this one, let's see if we can actually get maybe a little bit better looking rock than this one. So I took it down 50 again the last time. So let's bring it down. Let's just do 25 for now and see where that takes us. Do it again. Do it one more time. One more. Okay, that's about the same. Okay, this is looking slightly better. Let's try it one more time. Perfect. So we're going to end up using this rock over this one. It just seems like the faces are actually lining up a little teeny bit better. So the next step after this is, since we still have a mesh, we're just going to move that rock over, and we're going to right click on our mesh from surface, and that'll give us polysurface from mesh. Basically from here, we're going to unroll the surface to make cut sheets. So using this, let's just explode it out. And basically with this technique, you want to select surfaces that kind of run in a line. So if this is similar to a ribbon that's kind of constructing this rock, select them all together and join them. Typically what I'll do is just change the color, just like that. So the next one right below it, I'd say that's just perfect for a line, and I'll join those together. And now we might have to change these a little bit later, but for the most part we can try to eyeball how these pieces kind of fit together in these little ribbon segments that form together. This one might be tricky, so let's take off those 3. Let's just join these guys. They don't specifically need to be all different colors, it's just as long as you got them joined. So this one, since there's that little kink in there, I'm going to just join these just to make it simple, and then I can see that these more than likely will work. Let's join those, and then around this bend. You're basically, when you're trying to find these ribbons, you're trying to find continuity within the model. So just these ribbons here, or these segments, this is helping construct the rock, and these two can go together, just using polysurfaces. So kind of being able to break down the logic behind how these surfaces are created would be a big advancement on fabricating this rock. So near the end, you should have something similar to this. And I hope we have a couple mistakes so we can see how to redo this a little teeny bit. So the next command we're going to use is unroll surface. And so you're going to get some options up here. And basically, what I typically do is explode. I say no, because otherwise it's going to break it up into triangles that you then have to piece together. Labels, that helps keep track of everything, but typically I don't use it. So it's basically just saying midpoints and intersections. So I'm not going to use that. Let's undo that. And so unroll surface. And so if you just right click again, basically at your origin at 0, 0, what it's going to do, and if we change that color to its origin color, it's going to unroll that surface. It looks like the... So it's going to unroll the surface that we selected into a flat panel that you then can etch and refold together, similar to origami. So this is a really neat strategy to create volume really quickly. So I'm just going to lock these 2 layers for now, and then I'm going to just do unroll again, and I'm hoping for a mistake, and once I see one, I'll point it out. And the biggest thing here is try to keep your colors organized to the faces that you're creating. So this was the cyan piece. Just lock them down really quickly. This one looks like a really easy one. That's blue. So we'll just run through this relatively quickly. And you want to make sure not to separate this rock out, by the way, just because it's going to be kind of your mapping device for putting this piece together. Okay, and that was magenta. All right, and our last one is green. I'm not going to lock that one down just because we know where it's at already. There we go, perfect. So what Rhino gives us automatically is these fabrication little pieces that you can fold together and line up one to another. So if you were to have labels on here, you could start to figure out the points that go together, but basically if you were just to look at these, and if you have them etched, you can piece them together and fold them back into place. And a good technique for assembling them is glue on the back side, so the inside of this model, and it'll all hold together really nicely. So these pieces actually ended up working out really well. There's no overlaps in here, and by overlaps I mean pieces that once you unroll them, they're overlapping on top of the next one. So let's try to replicate an error that probably will happen with 1 or 2 of you. So if I'm just going to join this complex surface together, and I know for a fact I'll have an error. So let's unroll this. Do it again. Wow, it's not even that piece. You could use those 2 pieces together. Let's try that one more time using this piece. Let's unroll. So if you guys find different variations like I just did, you know, this one, we could take away basically both of these pieces since this unrolled correctly. And by unrolled correctly, there's no overlaps where there shouldn't be. Whereas the piece that we just knew would make a mistake, this magenta piece, if we pull it over here, see a lot of overlaps in here from surface to surface. So see all those lines that continuously hit on the next one? Those won't fold together because you're going to laser cut on top of them, and obviously it's not going to work as single panels. But when we look at this one, or any of these for that matter, you can see that there's no overlaps and everything's open, and you also get reference points of how these are going to fit together nicely. So that's a big benefit there. So I'm going to copy these real quick and hit undo a couple times. And delete these guys out. Delete that. And paste. And let's just change that to red really quickly. And so for laser cutting, I'm going to just show you an example of how you should set this up for laser cutting. So let's just make a cut sheet here, 22 by 32. I'm going to rotate it, make it a little easier. And so basically, I'm just going to copy these pieces over. Notice your cut sheets are quite a bit smaller. And so basically, what I'm going to do is just explode them all out. Or another thing we could do is, instead of exploding, is actually just do a make 2D. You should be getting your outlines, which is great. So those are going to be your cut marks, because it's just strictly the outlines. And now, what we're going to do next is explode them, make 2D again. Hit enter, of course. And basically, these are going to be our etch marks. So you want to make sure you keep those on a separate layer. So for now, I'm just going to make them yellow. And since our outlines are right here, and I'm just going to select all those, you might want to keep them grouped. I'm going to explode them out. And so basically we can delete our poly surfaces, and let's bring this to the front. So basically what I just set up here is the black line would be our cut, and then you'd use less than half that etch, so you can get nice clean folds. And if you're cutting with a knife or shears, you would then just crease or just etch with a knife. And then after you're done with that, you're going to take your pieces, and then you're going to strictly follow along with your rhino model that you previously created, and try to just clearly mark out where pieces go. So I know I can see these two small triangles, they correlate with those. So I'm going to line up and try to match how that rock here is put together to my physical one. So I hope this helps. It's one of the easiest techniques to master. Just make sure your glue seams are clean, and you'll have a beautiful looking model.